times in history when technology makes breakthroughs, and it is up to us to utilize, lean into that technology, and help us further our missions. Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you, Danny. I would like to invite all the fine women in this room to a special session happening specifically on women in the philanthropic space, fundraising, specifically fundraisers who are women. We have a very beautiful program that's going to happen. If you go out this room and you make a right, you go outside of where you came in, around the round balcony, and on the other side there's a room there. We're going to be joined by Chaya Abelsky, together with a very famous philanthropist, Leslie Ostrin. She's a fundraiser herself. She's a careered attorney, as well as she has her own family foundation. So I encourage all of you to take advantage of that. It will be an incredible program. Without further ado, we are up for our next session by Mendel Jacobson, the genius, the creative genius behind Charidy.com and everything that happens. It's all about the power of storytelling. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at your screens, we are 50% of our 4D charity campaign, 50% of the way there. We started this morning. We've gone through amazing journeys. We just hit the halfway mark. Momentum is building. God bless you all. Mendel has been at the forefront of almost all major charity campaigns. The storytelling, what is going to capture the audience. So with that, let us learn from Mendel's genius and what he has in mind. I will say, we're about to take a trip into Mendel Jacobson's mind, so put on your seatbelts. L'chaim.
We'll start in 3 minutes. Okay. What do organic, smorgasbord, and unforgettable have in common? Believing is magic. Does anybody know which organization, which Jewish organization, used this as their slogan for a campaign? Believing is magic. Believing is magic was Coca-Cola's tagline for the largest marketing event in the year, every 4 years, largest marketing event in the World Cup. Believing is magic. It's a frum message. Having faith, having belief is magical, is sublime. Open happiness, who said this? Coca-Cola, again, open happiness. Just do it. Nike. Think different. Apple. The old Apple. Belong anywhere. Less well known. Airbnb. For-profits exist for one reason. They exist for profit. They exist to make money for their shareholders, for their investors, for their partners. That's why they exist. If they cease making profit, if they cease being for-profits, they cease being. Now, it may take time, as we know with Amazon and other large companies. For many years, they could lose a lot of money, but ultimately, they'll turn a profit, and that's what makes them a for-profit. So for-profits exist to make money, but all they talk about is how they make the world a better place. Think different, open happiness, believing is magic, just do it, belong anywhere. Except for one funny exception. What's in your wallet? Capital One. Who talks about money, but in a cheeky way, so that you don't think about money. You think about, oh, that's a fun credit card. It's not a serious credit card. I can get that credit card. There's a Viking with horns. It's not as scary as American Express. But for-profits exist for profit, and they talk about money. For-profits exist for profit, and all they talk about is how they make your life better and how they make the world a better place. Non-profits exist to make the world a better place. And all they talk about is money. You sit down with a donor. Imagine you walked into an Apple store and they said, it costs you money to walk in here. Everything here costs a lot of money. And we need your money so that we can continue being in business. Or imagine Coca-Cola said, we sell fizzy, brown, sugary water that will probably give you diabetes and may even kill you. And buy it for $1 or $2. And once you open it, the fizz lasts for about 30 minutes, especially if it's a 2-liter, or when I was a kid, 3-liter bottle of Coke, right? And it's flat. They don't say that. Instead, they say, open a bottle of Coke and you're opening happiness. That's the only way they sell their product. If Nike said, buy rubber for your feet, no one would buy it. They say, buy a shoe and become Michael Jordan, just do it. So when I began my charity journey 8-9 years ago, I was selling product for profits, mostly. And Charidy was beginning nonprofits to start doing campaigns, start building, start growing, and you can no longer talk about money. Now, instead of talking about money, you have to talk about how you're making the world a better place. So you have to come up with a slogan, with a message on a website. You can't say, hey, click here, make a donation. You have to say open happiness, think different, just do it, belong anywhere. Believing is magic. And then maybe you can say what's in your wallet. Because once they buy into the vision, every organization understands that in order to create anything in this world, it costs money. So, how do we do that? How do you take an organization and a fundraiser? All a fundraiser worries about is funding the organization because he cares about the organization. He cares about the cause. How do you get an organization to do what for-profits have to do? If they don't do it, they run out of business. They run out of money. They run out of sales. A nonprofit never runs out because you can't stop seizing. You can't stop existing because if you stop existing, kids don't have schools, kids don't have food, and the world is missing an organization. So how do you kind of tap that open happiness, that think different, that just do it ethos for a nonprofit? By the way, even the branding of nonprofit is a terrible. Saying a nonprofit. Who wants to invest in a nonprofit? Why would you give money to an organization that calls itself an organization that makes no money, that doesn't profit? Unless you spell profit without an F and a P and an H, then you could rebrand. We're not profits, in other words, Nevi'im, but we're here to make the world a better place. So what do? Back to our original question. What do organic, smorgasbord, and unforgettable have in common? An organic smorgasbord is unforgettable. Someone said something back there. Exactly. Every single one of those 3 words has the word org in it. Organic starts with org. Smorgasbord has org in the middle of it. And unforgettable has org in the middle of it as well. I would submit, there's no guarantees in life, but I would submit if you take your organization and you look at the organic elements, in other words, the elements that are natural to your organization, whatever they may be, that make your org an org. And every single organization is different. You will find a message that no one else has. What is the organic message, the message that grows naturally within your organization? That's ingredient 1. Ingredient 2, no organization is parochial, is single-tracked. There's always diversity. There's always elements. There are many different, sometimes disparate or, almost conflicting elements. But there is a whole swath, a whole smorgasbord of elements, of tasty elements that exist in your organization. You find those with the organic elements, another ingredient for the message of your organization. And finally, what can you say to a donor and to yourself, really? The truth is, communication is first to ourselves. what can we say to ourselves and then to our donors that's unforgettable? They will never forget it. Something that no matter what happens, when I created this presentation, I don't want to make any sense here today because people don't remember sense. You'll remember the org in Unforgettable. You'll remember every time you go to a smorgasbord now for the rest of your life, you'll see org there. Just like with FedEx, every time you see a FedEx logo now, you see an arrow. Right? And if you don't, from now on, you will see an arrow for the rest of your life. That's what you want people to, unforgettable. Whether they give you money or not, never forget that fundraiser because they have something that's unique, that's organic, and has many different elements of smorgasbord. Now, finally, originality. If your organization existed, and we have people here that started many fantastic organizations, and we've had the merit to work with many of them, if you were not original, you wouldn't exist. If someone was doing what you're doing, you wouldn't do it. If there was a school that was serving this child, or an organization that helps kids or parents or adults or teens with certain needs that existed, you wouldn't have to do it. You would do something else. So be original. And original can also be spelled originally. You take out the I of original, what do you have? Org again. So you can always find your organization in originality, in the kind of organic elements of your organization, and the smorgasbord of your organization, and of course the unforgettable layers of your organization. Every for-profit does this, and every non-profit has to do it. It's a mitzvah, because it helps you fundraise. It helps you tell yourself every morning why you exist, and why every person in the world should be supporting your organization. Finally, when this happens, you replace the ORG with OMG, and every time everybody sees your org, they exclaim, "Oh my gosh," or "Oh my Hashem," and they, you know, the organization is no longer just like every brand in the United States of America or the world. When you see that brand, you don't see what they sell. When someone buys a bottle of Coke, they don't buy the bottle of Coke, the can of Coke, or the Nike sneaker, or the Apple product, because they see flat or bubbly, fizzy water that's going to give them diabetes, or they see rubber that's been molded into a sole in some sweatshop in Asia, and they don't see silicon pieces that come together in some sort of phone or tablet or computer that will last for a year, and suddenly your battery will begin to drain very quickly, and you have to buy a new product. What they see is think different, they see open happiness, and they see just do it. That's where you want to be. Someone sees your organization, they see not money, not, oh, he's calling me again. They see how you are changing the world. And that's really, you know, as we tell, as I'm sure I've told many, as we discuss in many of our meetings, in many of our charity campaigns, and any project, your campaign, your fundraising is your Super Bowl, is your World Cup. It's when everybody in your community sees you. What are you going to say? What are you going to say?
How's it going?
And whatever you say, if it's organic, a smorgasbord of everything that you've done, are doing, and will do, and it's unforgettable, and of course original, it takes your org to a whole new level. Thank you for listening. If there's any questions, I think we have, let me see where we are time-wise. We have a few minutes. So any questions, I'd love to answer them. If not, you know, sing a song. How do you get the lay leadership of a nonprofit to understand what should be making it profitable as opposed to what doesn't? I'm not a fundraiser. So, but my belief is fundraising is about selling it to yourself first. If you can't sell it to yourself, you can't sell it to a donor. Why should a donor support? If Phil Knight did not believe in his rubber sneakers, that they make people run faster and perform better, there's no way he can go spend his entire 20 hours a day going from the back of his trunk and selling sneakers to the public. And the same thing with anybody that drives, they believe it, whether believing is magic. So, as I forget who mentioned it in an earlier panel, I think it was Richard Beeler. He said your board members are your family. Now, in a healthy family, no one really has to be sold on membership. It's tribal, it's natural. It's organic. Board members that come and join your family, they come generally for a reason. Relationships, there's a vision here. And the more that that vision is solidified and is focused upon, the more they'll buy into it. So if somehow, the same reason that let's say Amazon spends $14-15 billion a year on selling its vision to the public, because they know that if they don't, the public doesn't know what their vision is, we can do the same for our board members. And whatever that may be, it could be a presentation, it could be a quarterly meeting, it could be a reminder of why we're doing this, and then they see the value for themselves, and then of course once you see the value for yourself, you can parlay that value and extend it to the community at large. Any other questions? Yep. So one of the greatest challenges, I don't know how many campaigns we've done over the year. Yeah, sorry. The question is, we spoke about originality being key. If someone else was doing it, you wouldn't need to do it, and you wouldn't do it. Yet on the other hand, competition, similarity drives everything. Especially talking about every charity campaign is the same. Now it's some sort of, you have 24 hours, 36 hours, 3-match, no match, 4-match, and that's a whole other study in itself, which demographics like to match, which don't. Fascinating discussion. But how do you kind of find the balance between originality and uniformity? It's interesting, doing many campaigns, one of the big challenges is how do you stay original? For many reasons. One, obviously, relationships. If you use the same campaign for another campaign, that's not good. But also because you have to be original, otherwise, why are you doing what you're doing? So not to get too, too Talmudic, but there's a famous Mishnah in Sanhedrin that says every single human being was created exactly the same, but no two people are alike, right? Using the famous metaphor of a coin. Every single coin is minted of the same mint, same form, but no two coins are the same. Every person has the same exact features. 2 ears, 2 eyes, a nose, mouth, face, corpus, midsection, legs, exactly the same. But no two people are the same. Not only are they not the same, the more they seem to be alike, the more of a contradiction they are. Why is that? Because, and same thing with organizations. Every single organization is exactly the same. All nonprofits doing good, educating, helping people. It's none of it's original. What's original is the personality, the persona of that organization. What makes someone stand out? What's the spirit of that organization? Not the technicalities. We're all nonprofits. We're all trying to fundraise. We're all trying to make the world better. But what competition does, it allows you to find that inimitable, that factor, that one strand of DNA that no one else has. No one. And the more competition exists, the more you're forced to find that. If you were the only Jewish school in the United States of America, your message is pretty clear. But if on your block there are 7 different schools, you have to find what's your angle. So that competition really engenders the originality. So I would say not only are there not contradictions, actually one feeds the other. And for your community, that is completely original. Like, if you have kids, each kid is exactly the same, but they're all completely different. I'm not sure if that answers the question, but hopefully it's unforgettable, at least, I think we have another minute, one more question, or we can sing a song. That's not my thing. All right. Some people, when they speak, it sounds like music, and some people, when they sing, it sounds like words. So, yeah. So first of all, you may not want to rebrand. If you have equity in your brand, you may not only maintain it, you want to double down on it. If your brand, Coca-Cola didn't, look at their slogan, their script, their calligraphy is exactly the same, maybe a few tweaks, but nothing changed. The Apple is minor changes, but nothing changes. If you have a brand that has longevity, that has equity, that has gravitas, it'll be a waste to throw it away. Now you want to reinvigorate it. You want to use every opportunity to double down on that eternal message. I would maintain that everybody in this room has a message that a nitzchiastic message, an eternal message that will never ever change. But what does change is how do you now make it resonate for a new generation, for a new type of audience, for a new, these expos didn't exist back in, in the Midbar, back in the desert. There were no fundraising, but Moshe Rabbeinu figured it out because that was the generation that needed to build a Mishkan. So what platforms can you use? And every organization also has different concerns. Some use technology, others don't. Some use it to certain extremes, others use it less. So every organization should ask itself and its leaders and its drivers, what tools and technologies and communities exist that can own and convey my message to the current generation and the current demographic, and then the same question will be asked again tomorrow and the day after and the day after. Now, a total rebrand, that's a whole nother, if you're around for so long, there's probably a reason you're around for so long, and it's much less about rebranding and much more about kind of identifying those elements that never change and how you can use the ever-changing landscape to convey them. That's kind of, but again, every case is different. Yes.
We have a school that about 5 years ago we had a campaign. We called
Is that a question? It's a statement? I'm not sure. But I would say, it's very rare that you have, just every year the best possible message. You try, but sometimes things stick and sometimes they stick less. And it's interesting, sometimes some message may stick for one person and they never forget it. And other people are like, that was not for me. And the next message, which it's interesting, during we present the concept, oftentimes the last idea that you put in an end slide, the organization says, oh, that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish. Well, for you, it's like an afterthought. You never know. So you do your due diligence, you make your investment, and we believe in a higher power. Believing is magic. And if you put in the right organic, truthful elements, magic does happen. I believe we're ready for our next panel. A pleasure. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mendel.